vigilance, the action or state of keeping careful watch, standing guard, defending the bulwark between the righteous and the godless. Okay, Eric, how have you been?
I've been all right, It's trying to stay positive,
There you go. I hear that for sure. Well, I guess I don't. There's really no way that I can comprehend this. And Eric, there's several points I want to talk about today, and I know we only have 15 minutes, so I don't want to waste a lot of time with mindless chit chat. But if we could, before we dive into that, I just wanted to ask, because I think there's probably a lot of people that are wondering, what this is like for you and your family, and what are you and they going through right now, just from a personal aspect?
Well, it's hard, is what it is. I think that's part of what they're trying to accomplish here. Is it's not just hard for me and my family; it's hard for all the families. I just saw that there was 45 children affected with the situation. Some of the guys are Mormon families, so they have quite a few kids, but still 45 kids. It's not easy. Like I said, I try to look on the positive side, and the positive side is, I've realized how strong my family is, and how dedicated my family really is. My wife is my rock, and she's continues to impress me every day. Having said that, it's probably the hardest thing I've ever gone through. They got me with an arrow right through the heart. I miss my kids more than can even explain.
Well, as you know, I have been in communication with your wife over probably the last month or so, and she's a pretty incredible lady. And you have 2 little kids at home, right?
Yes, sir.
2, yeah. Okay, that's tough. Well, listen, like I said, there's some things I want to talk about. One of the things that I have looked at, and I'm sure you're aware of this as well, the media wants to paint any patriot as a right-wing radical kook with guns that just wants to go and overthrow the government and institute chaos. And why did you go to Nevada? What was in your heart?
So, I saw on the internet a video of an assault. It turned out her name was Margaret Houston. She was Cliven Bundy's sister. I didn't know that at the time, but she was, they were protesting. They had a protest there, and the BLM had already had their AR-15s out and trying to force people away from seeing in this dump truck. And a lot of people have seen the video, some haven't. If you haven't, I suggest you go look at it, because that starts to explain and show what was going on that week. One of the agents threw her down pretty hard, and this is an elderly lady. And when I saw that, it hit me. That could have been my mom or my aunt, and so that frustrated me. I watched them tase. What I learned later was Ammon Bundy. They tased him 4 times. They took the dog on a pregnant lady. The dog didn't get her, but they almost did. If Ammon wouldn't have kicked it, it would have definitely bit this woman. But so there was this heavy-handed nature going on, and then I heard that they put up a free speech zone. Is this little pig pen.
Was that insane or what?
Go ahead.
I said, was that insane or what?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Just, the irony was massive. They put this pig pen up. It was, miles away from the ranch, and they said if you wanted to protest, you could protest in this little box. One of Bundy's sons, Dave Bundy, I found out later, was on the side of the road trying to take pictures of the BLM and what they were doing, and he's just sitting on the side of the road. He's not doing anything to anybody but taking pictures. And They went in and they beat him up on the side of the road, and they arrested him for not being in that free speech zone. They arrested him, they took him to jail, and then they let him go the next day with no charges, which proved my theory of they have no arrest authority. They're just acting out of, some sort of perceived authority. And at that point, the arrests, there's snipers on the mountaintop above Dave. We saw pictures of that on the internet.
Sure, we saw those.
Dave when he was being arrested. So there was this militarization, there was this heavy-handed tactics, there was, blatant violations of the Constitution, and we went to protest. And that's really all it was at first, was going to protest. This man, Tom Collins, who was a Clark County administrator, the day before we left, he got on TV and did an interview and said, anybody coming to support Cliven Bundy better bring funeral money in a body bag.
Okay, well, like
go ahead.
Okay, I don't want to cut you off, but I know we have limited time.
Sure.
And so the point is, and I want everyone to understand this, regardless of whether you agree with the actions of Eric and the other folks that went down, they went down there simply to exercise their First Amendment right because they saw something which they felt was inappropriate and wrong. And so what I want to do is I want to get past this whole thing, Eric. You see, there are people that can argue and make a pretty good argument that what you did was maybe foolish or maybe criminal. And there are people that can make an argument that no, it was absolutely absolutely appropriate. And we can go back and forth because it becomes down to interpretation of laws and those kind of things. And so what I want to focus on is the simple fact that the Constitution authorizes the federal government policing powers in the states in just a few areas, things like counterfeiting and treason. And beyond that, they really don't have any authorization, any constitutional authority to be involved in any of what they have done to you and other like-minded families. Would you agree with that, Eric?
Oh, absolutely. You could even go a little further and say U.S. Code 43, subsection C, states that any time the Department of the Interior, which runs the BLM, is expecting any kind of confrontation or law enforcement necessary, they're supposed to utilize local elected law enforcement who's trained for that situation. And there's a reason for that. There was a senator, I believe his name was Steve Stockman, who wrote to the president and to a couple of congressmen the day after the Bundy Ranch happened, and he said, they're in clear violation of U.S. Code 43. They were supposed to utilize local law enforcement so that something like that wouldn't happen, and they didn't. They had an axe to grind, we'll say. And, the thing. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that's precisely it. The only people, if there's an arrest to be made down there, the only people with constitutional authority to do so are the local prosecutor and the local sheriff. Everyone else has no authority, and I think this is where we need to focus on these. The simple fact that your constitutional rights have been removed simply because you stood against the federal government when the federal government was violating their own constitution. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if, we're all held to a standard of law and order. Like you said, people can disagree with what happened or not. I to that a lot of the people that disagree don't have the full facts. Our discovery was put on a protective order for a reason. If I were able to show you right now the things in my discovery, I have every faith that you would look at me, and now I've seen it happen with my co-defendants. You would look at me and you would tell me you were completely justified. You were completely justified. We were not the aggressors that day, and we're staring at the proof. When men in combat gear point weapons of war at citizens protesting, we're not talking about militia. We're talking about mom and pop in a wash standing in a prayer circle. And if you have the audacity to put on multicam combat gear and point an M4 at them, then America needs to respond to that. And I stand by the fact that the people that were with me showed restraint that day. And we have a line that will not be crossed. We're not going to watch other Americans violate Americans' constitutional right to gather and redress grievances in a safe manner. That's just the way it is. And we'll go to court and hopefully we get a fair shake and are able to show this discovery in court and be exonerated. But by the same token, we're looking at the might of the federal government, and they may just railroad us through. But if my government hangs me for what happened that day, then they're going to hang me, because I stand by the fact that you cannot put on multicam, body armor, and point an M4 at mom and pop standing in a wash with a sign that says BLM go home.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Well, Eric, I think the question is, what do we do out here in the world? There's a lot of people that are wringing their hands and they're saying, this is so wrong, this is so wrong, what can we do about it? And I'd like to just quickly share what we are doing with the men too, and then get your opinion on that. You see, I believe that in addition to the fact that your rights have been violated by the federal government, they are also being violated right here at home. Every sheriff, every legislator, our governor, they've all sworn an oath to protect our constitutional rights. And it's my belief that they must all write a resolution, take a strong stand, and say, if these people need to be arrested, let it happen with the proper authorities, and otherwise, the federal government has violated their rights and they must be released. The full weight of our Idaho government needs to stand behind that idea, I believe.
I couldn't agree more. I'm so disappointed in our legislators there, and it's hard. I tried to turn myself in. Here's a perfect example. I tried to turn myself in when I saw that they had when they arrested Cliven Bundy. I knew that my arrest was coming. I have told myself and others in interviews that I'm fully willing to explain myself and my actions. I don't feel I did anything wrong. I went to my local sheriff. And I explained to him what was going on, and he searched the database. He said, well, there's no warrant for you. And I said, listen, I'm scared they're going to come and they're going to flashbang my living room and we're going to have a situation.
Sure.
And I said, I just need you to at least tell me when they come, and I'll come down here and turn myself in. And he said, listen, Eric, I'm not going to stand in between you and the federal government. And I told him, I said, I'm not here to get you to do that, but on a side note, it is your job. It is your job. I did not break any laws. You should be doing your own investigation, and you should not let them come and drag me out of here to another state and another jurisdiction. He disagreed. I disagreed with him, but the point is, like you said, they're supposed to stand up for our Constitution.
You have 1 minute remaining.
And they're just not doing that.
Well, Eric, we are going to bring as much pressure as we can. We're doing it on a statewide basis. We have a resolutions team that includes people all over the state putting together a very strongly worded resolution, and we're going to put a lot of pressure on legislators to stand up, and our sheriffs. So I hope we can do something. I hope we can do something. Eric, this last minute's yours. Any last thing that you want to get out to the people?
I love you all, my state, and hopefully it's February and I'll be home soon.
We're looking forward to that, Eric. And in the meantime, we will do what we can to take care of your family.
That's important to me. Thank you.
You betcha. Eric, best of luck to you and everything.
Your time is up.
Freedom is not free, but I can help. I offer a set of fundraisers that include advanced firearms training, defensive law seminars, constitution workshops with a focus on the local solution. Now, why the local solution? It's simple. Government of, for, and by the people must always be close to the people. Hey, give me a call, 208-317-9843. Let's talk freedom.
Well, everyone, there you have it. Here is a man, and I want to lay a few things out for you that we didn't have time to talk about. Eric drove to Nevada for the reasons that he gave, and they are justifiable. He saw federal government abuses. And some of you may call him a little bit radical. Others may say, well, he had a right. But I would like you to consider for a moment Samuel Adams, who, by the way, is my hero. You see, Sam Adams and the Sons of Liberty, they went down to the Boston Harbor and they threw tea in the bay. They did everything they could to get the Congress at that time to make a statement about the importance of independence and to demand independence from Britain. And those in Congress, they said, oh, this is too radical, this is too scary. Let us petition the king again and see if we can convince the tyrant to be less tyrannical. And what occurred instead, is these people in Congress were very wimpy and very mousy in defense of liberty. Now, if you condemn Eric Parker for standing up, basically he went down there to throw a little tea in the bay. That's really all it was. If you condemn Eric Parker for doing this, then you must stand with the mousy and the wimpy and the hand-wringers in 1776 who says, oh, we can't do this. You must stand with those who stood with Britain, and you must declare in a clear voice that Sam Adams, the Sons of Liberty, Paul Revere, George Washington, right on down the line, you must declare that they were wrong. And finally, to our state legislators, to our county sheriffs, when you violate these men, when you refuse to stand for Eric Parker's constitutional rights, you are in violation of your own constitutional oath. And I am saying this to all. We have in Idaho legislators that are pretty darn good, and we have legislators that are terrible. But even those who I would rank as good and solid have failed to defend these men's constitutional rights, Eric Parker and 3 others from the state of Idaho. Will we allow this? I think we cannot. Please contact me, get on our list so that when our resolution is prepared, demanding that the constitutional rights of these men be defended, that you can join us by applying your signature to this cause, just like the Patriots of 1776 who stood together and signed the Declaration of Independence, knowing that everything hung in the balance. I'm Lance Earle. I'll see you soon.